host with White Labs, an e-commerce marketing agency. Today's guest is David. David, feel free to introduce yourself and let our viewers know about your background.
Yeah, I'm David Fradin, and I've got a company called Spice Catalyst, and that's Spice Catalyst, one word at .com. We teach product success and consult on product success worldwide. My number one client is Cisco, and we've trained about half of all their product managers throughout the world.
Amazing. What inspired you, or how'd you get into Spice Catalyst?
Well, I was recruited by Hewlett Packard to work in their corporate PR department. And it was the only department in the company at the time, this would be 1980, that knew how to type. And I had word processing dating back to a national student organization that I had formed in favor of science and technology when I was at the University of Michigan. And then later, when I was running the Environmental Balance Association of Minnesota, I was an environmental mediator. Both of those small nonprofit organizations, I had word processing. So I was kind of shocked when I got to the corporate PR department that even though they knew how to type, they didn't have word processing. So I introduced to the group an internally developed program called Slate, which was word processing on a mini computer with a terminal. And that turned out to be what an internal product manager would do. And as a result of that, I was able to transition over to office systems of the networking division to help bring some office products to market. Apple noticed what I was doing, and they recruited me to be the product manager to bring the first hard disk drive to market on a personal computer, which was huge in size. It was 5 megabytes, and it was really cheap. It was only $3,500. But nobody could understand why anybody would ever need 5 megabytes. They would today, because we probably just consumed 5 megabytes in the opening of the show. And then senior Apple people noticed that I knew how to manage. So they asked me to take over as the group product manager for the Apple III, which was the two profit lines that Apple had at the time, the Apple II and the Apple III. So after about 3 weeks on the job, Steve Jobs convinced the company to cancel the product line because he felt the Apple III occupied a space in the market that he wanted to take his Macintosh to. And then I was coming out of the corporate headquarters a few weeks later, and Ida Cole, who's the director of marketing for my division, ran out and saw me and said, John Scully wanted to see me. And actually, she said, the president wants to see you. And I said, is that Scully? And she said, yes. So she escorted me into his little conference room. And Scully says to me, and sitting around the table was Del Yoakum, the VP of manufacturing, Ida, and Joe Graziano, who was the CFO. And he said, Dave, we've got about $20 million worth of piece parts scattered throughout our manufacturing facilities in Singapore and Cork, Ireland, and in Dallas. What should we do about it? And I said, what do you mean we, paleface? And he didn't get the joke. So I had to explain it to him that there was a television show and a movie. And the joke was that the Lone Ranger was galloping through the desert with his American Indian sidekick. I have to say American Indian because when I tell this story to Indians, they get confused. The Lone Ranger, who wore a mask, he only did good, rode a white horse called Trigger, had one silver bullet in his belt just to be used on special occasions. And he turns to Tonto and says, Tonto, we are surrounded by 10,000 yelling, screaming American Indians, and all they want to do is scalp us. What should we do, Tonto? Not realizing that Tonto is an Indian. So Tonto says, what do you mean, we, paleface? And Scully snuckled a little bit, or snorted a little bit. And he said, what should we do? And I said, well, the problem is that as the product manager, the group product manager, you've given me the full responsibility, but no authority. And I suggest you give me the authority and set me up as an independent business unit, and then we'll take the product out there and market it and sell it. He said, okay, make me a proposal. Made a proposal on July 15th, 1983, a day that will live in infamy, at least in my mind. And the turning point in the meeting was after I had presented the options we could think of for the product line. uh, and compared them also to Apple values, which consisted of things like having empathy for our customers. It would not make sense to cancel a product line that was a little over 3 years old after 50,000 people had spent the equivalent of about $30,000 today for their computer. Um, Canceling would not reward individual performance, which was another Apple value, or team spirit, or innovation, or vision for the future, or quality or excellence, and most importantly, good management. So at the end of the meeting, Floyd Kwame, who was the VP of Marketing and Sales, and he went later on to be a very successful venture capitalist, Floyd says, Dave, if a dealer called you and we make the decision to let the market decide, which is what you're advocating, or the decision to shut the product line down, what would you say? I would say if you guys, and this, I was meeting with you and presenting to the executive committee, I said, if you guys let me let the product go as long as the market decides to buy the product, I would tell the dealer we will continue to develop it, support it, service it, market it, support your sales efforts, and so forth. But if you said that we will shut the product line down right now, I'll just give the dealer your phone number. And everybody in the room laughed because they realized that just shutting the product down, lying down like that arbitrarily, which is what Steve Jobs wanted to do, would violate about half of all of Apple values that everyone swore that they would uphold and stand behind. So about a week later, I got a call and asked if I would take over as the business unit manager of this independent division for the Apple III with full authority, $4 million budget. I could hire 17 people. And I said yes. And they gave me the title of business unit manager, or BUM for short. And we went out, sold 25,000 Apple IIIs, generated, if I recall correctly, about $600 million in profits, provided enough money for Steve to be able to finish his development of his Macintosh and introduce it, and provide loyalty to our customers that have spent that kind of money to buy our business and office computer. So that was my background in product success and in product management. And from there, I went on to a number of other companies and have had a number of startups. And then 12 years ago, I started Spice Catalyst specifically to teach others how to have product success, since about 35% of all new products each year fail in the marketplace.
Amazing story, David. So who is your ideal target audience for Spice Catalyst?
Well, for my books, like one of the books that I have out, see if I can do a Vanna White here, is Building and Selling Great Products. I think that's reversed because of the camera. So everyone would have to show this podcast up to their mirror to be able to read
No,
that.
it looks perfect. No, it's not reversed. It's actually it's perfect. Yeah.
And then Wiley published this little pamphlet. It's only 496 pages, and it is a successful product design and management toolkit. And it's used as graduate education at a couple universities in India, and about 1,000 students have gone through the book in 7 months. So you can get the books. They're available on Amazon. You can take my online courses, which are available through my website, spicecatalyst.com, or you can have us deliver the training in person or virtually on a worldwide basis.
Amazing. What makes you different or better than your competitors out there?
We understand what it takes for product success rather than, for lack of a better word, regurgitating what everybody has said before. And the 5 keys to product success is to have a product market strategy, which is the S in the name for Spice. P stands for repeatable processes. I stands for the information necessary to get the job done and make informed decisions. The C is the most important, which is a unique part of what we do. And that is we teach how to understand what it is that your customer wants to do, what they want to do, when they want to do it, where they want to do it, how they want to do it, what's standing in their way, how important is it to get done, and how satisfied they are. Others just talk about things like innovation without understanding the use of the innovation. And when they talk about product market fit, well, that's a little higher level than understanding what it is that your customer does, so that you could build a product with features that actually do what the customer does, and therefore you would then have the product market fit. Others also teach things like break things and move on quickly. That's what Facebook teaches, while in the process they seem to be helping break society around the world with their unique ability to make money off of amplifying lies and fake news. None of them talk about building a product market strategy and its 32 components before you start product development. That's where that ethos here in Silicon Valley, where I'm located, of aim, fire, or ready, fire, aim, as opposed to ready, aim, fire. If you're aiming in the wrong direction, you're liable to hit something that's wrong, maybe even the vice president in the face with a shotgun, as was done about, 10, 15 years ago. And then lastly, to have the skill sets, and I've identified 130 skill sets that a company has to have, or competencies, in order to have product success. So those are the things that differentiate what I do and what I teach, with some unique aspects of the keys to product success.
Awesome. What are your best-selling courses or products?
Well, I have a whole course on product market strategy, which is selling well. I've got a new course, which is how do you understand what it is that your customer wants to do, design thinking, and innovation.
Awesome. What is the future plan for yourself and the brand?
Continuing to speak out and offer the courses, teach the courses, and I'm moving on to write another book, which is a bit of a history of World War II from the eyes of my father, based upon the letters that he wrote home when he was in the service.
That's a whole future plan?
Well, I'm trying to get into retirement as soon as I possibly can. And if I can find somebody that wants to buy Spice Catalysts, give me a call.
That's the real future plan.
Yeah.
So starting Spice Catalyst, I'm sure you've had a few of these. What challenges that have you faced, and how were you able to overcome them?
The leading challenge is finding new clients. Part of the problem with that is product management and product success generally is not taught in any business school worldwide. There's only probably a half a dozen schools that teach it. So they lack the understanding, senior management, of the importance of having a person or a group on your staff whose number one priority is the product success. And that person's been called a product manager since 1938, when Hewlett Packard invented the role. Second, they typically have to have a series of product failures before they realize they need to provide the training necessary for product success. And third, they need to have a sense of urgency to get that done. With the advent of COVID, the desire to spend money on training at companies seems to have primarily evaporated. And all I could do is wait until there's a turnaround and people start realizing they need to get the skill sets necessary for product and therefore company success.
Gotcha. What has been the most successful form of marketing for you since starting the brand?
Well, that's changed. And about every 6 months, the success in marketing changes because of all the advents in marketing automation and in particular social media. So the thing that's most successful is for me to do these kinds of podcasts, because I'm able to establish my credibility and trust. So people would then, or companies would then call me up and add my courses to their learning and development as a regular thing for their employees.
100%. And you have your own podcast too, right?
Yes, I do. It's called Product Success Issues. I've done about 10 episodes, and then COVID hit, and I've been holding off on restarting it since then.
Awesome. Well, you're very, 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 very good on podcasts. I would recommend restarting it. Any advice you can give our listeners that are entrepreneurs that could start a brand here in 2024?
Well, a brand means the promise of the product or promise of the company. Yep. So the first thing to do is to establish a set of values for your company. Second thing to do is write out your vision, and you put the two of them together, and that's your mission statement. For example, 50 years ago, I started the Flying Club at the University of Michigan with a mission statement and a set of and a vision, and it's still going today, and it's trained over 4,000 pilots through that club. Many of them turned out to be airline pilots, including one of them who became the lead pilot for the Blue Angels. So that's the fundamentals: is the mission statement, vision, and values. Then build your product market strategy. And when I say product, it also means services, because a service is nothing more than an intangible product. That will tell you what it is that your customer wants to do, your market research, your competitive research. These are the elements of the product market strategy. The personas of your target market, your total available market, your product positioning, your value proposition, which will later be used in your messaging, in your advertising, your PR, and in your social media. And then the other key factors like your technical and sales support plans, your pricing strategy, your distribution strategy, and so forth. With that in
100%.
place, and that will take 3 to 6 months. And many people say, well, I don't have time to do that, or I don't have money to do that. Well, if you don't, then you'll be in a rush to failure. And I can only cite the 7,000 startups in India around 2015. None of them did that, and all of them went out of business, wasting billions of rubles as a result of failing to put together their product market strategy.
Amazing advice, David. Well, I appreciate you coming on the Wytpod and sharing your story. Anything I haven't asked you want listeners to know?
What's the meaning of life? And my answer to that is I have no idea.
David, personality is awesome, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for putting up with me.
All good.